Welcome back to URDONE.
Hi.
Hey, Tash.
What's up?
Oh, I just have a tan from the desert, even though Tasha claims I don't have one.
I'm sure.
If you zoom in on this 4K video, you'll see I'm a little bit sun-kissed.
I think that you, maybe.
You have to remember I'm going from this white, remember? So I'm going from basically a sheet of paper to anything more than that is a tan.
You're not that white.
Not quite, but
Not
very...
quite, that's white.
Not quite white. But yeah, so I'm back.
Well, welcome back to the freezing ass cold.
Yeah, it's literally was a difference of minus 47 degrees between where I was and where it is now.
Yeah.
I feel like we talk a lot about how shitty the weather is here, though.
I'm just so over it.
It's crazy that
April.
It's April, yeah. It's snowing currently.
Yeah, we're looking outside and it's snowing.
Yeah. Which is hilarious because our topic for today is about somewhere warm and beautiful and rich and gorgeous, which is this latest season of White Lotus.
Yes,
yeah, I've been loving this show. I've watched it since season 1.
I've never seen season 1 or 2.
Oh my gosh, this was a good one to get into, but
I will watch it. I am going to watch it.
You
I
should.
do love Jennifer Coolidge, but I think that how did I start watching this one? I think that one of my uncles was over and I was like, oh, are you guys watching anything right now? We're like, oh, not really. They're like, oh, turn on this show. And then it was the first episode. And I was sucked in because it was Thailand.
Yeah.
And then I was like, where could this go? And the first episode had me go, huh? And so therefore
it's a slow burn show, but in the best way.
Yeah.
And I think the writing is really incredible and there's lots. So we have lots to talk about for that.
Yes.
But before we get into it, let's start with the catch-up.
Shall we?
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so I'll go first because I just got back from my trip. So for those of you... Sun-kissed and all. So if you forgot, I went on a trip with my sister to LA and Palm Springs for her 30th birthday. Shout out Kennedy.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. We had a great time. But I have the best URDONE moment for it. So during the trip, one of the nights in Palm Springs, we went out. If you haven't been to Palm Springs, it's old and gay. You're poor.
You're poor. I haven't been, so.
It's old and gay, so there's lots of gay bars, which is perfect because my sister loves drag queens and we love just going out and drinking. And it's a very safe environment. Okay. So
in America, which is rare.
Exactly. So we go to this one place. It's called Hunter's. It's kind of the main bar. It's the biggest gay bar there. Okay. And because it's so big, there's a lot of bachelorette parties, whatever. So it's quite mixed. Then we bopped around to some other places and they get progressively gayer. And so it's less women and less straight people and whatever. And so eventually we were like, you know what? The best music and the most fun dancing was at Hunter's. So we go back to there to kind of end our night. We're dancing on the dance floor and my sister and I dance by each other, but there's room for Jesus. There's probably room for Jesus and all of his disciples. It's not, there's not a...
You're not a booty popping.
No. And so maybe there was a lull in a song or something, but I turn for a second and my sister is gone. And I look and I see she's been pulled sort of to the edge of the dance floor by this girl and they're talking. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. She knows someone in Palm Springs. What are the chances? So I go over and I'm like, hey, girls. And my sister is beat red. She's holding in a laugh.
Oh my God, is the person being were you being harassed?
Yes. She literally was I was saving you from that guy. He was so weird. So the thing that my sister, the hilarious part is, so behind us, before this whole thing, is that there's a guy and another guy in those puppy masks.
Yes.
So the girl pulls my sister away and she's like, that was so weird, wasn't it? And my sister's like, yeah, those guys are crazy. And she was like, what guys? I was talking about the guy that was being weird to you. And she goes, that's my brother. She tells me this and I go, I'm her brother.
And what did the girl say?
The girl poofed. Literally, she she exploded and vanished. She could not even breathe. She was like, I'm so sorry.
But you know what? I'm here for the girlhood of it all.
But what was I doing? I've never in my life been mistaken for a pervert in a bar to a girl. I've never once. I've
in
gone
a
with
gay bar.
Exactly. The tears of this. I'm like, what are you talking? What? What are you talking about? With my sister of all people?
I mean, I've saved girls in gay bars before.
Sure, but not for me.
I believe it was with you. You were there.
Maybe.
Yeah. was that girl that was like with that really smelly guy.
Oh.
And it was at Woody's.
Okay, but the more you talk about this, the more I feel like I'm self-conscious. That girl was URDONE, but my sister and I laughed so hard about it. We literally had to go outside and like sit because we were laughing so hard about how we couldn't believe.
You are the cringe.
Yeah.
Of Palm
URDONE.
Springs.
Yeah. And I was like, well, now I understand when I went out with all my girlfriends in the past why nobody was approaching them. It's because they were like, oh, the creep's already there. We have one creep enough. We're done. We're at our quota. I could not even believe. Anyways.
That's actually perfect.
Yeah, it was a really good.
I can't top that of you being a pervert in a gay bar.
Yeah, towards a straight girl.
Yes.
Who is also related to me. It's the most Alberta version ever.
Yes. Oh, I can't beat that. I will try, but I'll still tell my story.
Please, yeah. Tell me what's new for you.
Well, you know, I am a passenger princess. We've brought this up in season 1. Right? But sometimes it's more, you know, cheaper.
What?
Cheaper. Just take the streetcar sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Economical.
Fair. Yeah, that's a different kind of passenger princess.
Yes, but sometimes I just want to take a little cute Uber.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair.
And so it was Sunday morning.
Okay.
And I was heading to the gym.
Nice.
And I was like, I'll take the streetcar. It's a short streetcar ride.
Yeah.
It's going to be empty, right?
Mm.
Get on the streetcar. First of all, I ran for the streetcar. And the moment I got to the streetcar, the door closed and then it left.
It said bye-bye.
Okay, well, sir, it's Sunday.
You're done.
Like it was Sunday. It's the Lord's Day. You can you could wait for me. Oh, echo.
Echo.
I'm like, you can wait for me. Anyway, so I get onto the streetcar, and there are probably, how should I say, unhoused?
Yeah, underhoused, unhoused. Yeah,
like 5 unhoused people.
Okay,
having basically a party. In their new home.
Yeah, they've moved in.
They've moved
in at the back, right?
Yes,
always.
And there was a stench.
Oh,
like
I can feel it.
Yeah.
Where it like feels like it's burning your clothes off.
Yeah, and I really wanted to be respectful.
Okay.
So obviously I'm not going to say anything.
Especially in their house.
In their house, right? But I was trying to do like box breathing.
Like Lamaze. You're basically pregnant.
Yeah. And I was like, what made me think about it? I'm like, okay, the other day on a packed streetcar, I had this guy coming over to get my one of the officers to the tap on, and they're like fighting people to get through. Like, you know, we're all going to jump on for free.
Right.
When
this is happening.
Seventh Heaven back here.
Yeah.
is having an unhoused party. And I was like, so what happens with them?
It's not a house party. It's an unhoused party.
And so it's just like, I know that I paid that time, and that guy like literally reached over his whole hand to get to me, right, over other people. Yeah. But I'm like,
what's going on?
What's going on with this?
They don't deal with that stuff most of the time. It's very URDONE.
So what if I just like get on and I'm just like, rah, 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 a couple times.
And like, you're gonna have to change up what you're wearing and like maybe not shower for a little bit.
No, I can't do that
because I know it's like you can't give a ticket to somebody who's not gonna pay. What's the point?
I know, but it's just that like
I hear you.
I was just trying to respect the space.
Yeah, and they were not.
No, and I know that I sound like really mean, but like I couldn't breathe.
No, I get it. I mean, there's definitely been times where I've been on the TTC and I'm like, like there's a cloud, an aura around you that's not well, and you also have your music playing out. Like this is too much. This is too much. But you know what? I bet that wouldn't happen in Thailand at the White Lotus. I bet you that wouldn't,
because you couldn't afford to be there.
You couldn't afford it. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that story. We'll get into the like main bit of our conversation today, which is about White Lotus season 3. Dun, dun, dun. So I have been watching White Lotus since the beginning. I watched since season 1. Big fan. I like that so if you haven't heard about it, you probably live under a rock, because if even Tasha is watching it, he's gotta be it's gotta be popular. But so it started during the pandemic, and it first the first season was in Hawaii, second season was in Italy, and the third season was in Thailand. And it's sort of an anthology in the sense that each season is its own contained story. There are some characters from each season that sort of pop up in the other seasons, but you don't need to know anything about them to understand them. So, for instance, in season 3, you have Belinda, who is the Black woman from Hawaii. She was in season 1. And and her storyline sort of connects to season 1, but you don't need to know anything about it for it to make sense.
I was like, if you're bringing her up,
yeah,
that was the only part that I was confused about at the beginning because I didn't know the link. Because, and let's start off by saying the whole season is out and it came out pretty much a week ago. So we're doing spoilers. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't understand her character. Really
like the storyline.
Yeah, because I was like, do you work there?
Right.
I'm like, are you doing are you working half of the time to like pay, like to be, I didn't get that. Until someone told me, oh yeah, she's in season 1 and she works at another location and she's trying to like bring back some of the knowledge of what they do there.
Yeah, it was like an exchange program, basically.
So therefore I was like, oh.
Yeah, and it was cool because you wouldn't have expected her to be there. So it was like a fun. So in the first season, you have Jennifer Coolidge and then she's in the second season. So there's always, and so I'm sure someone from season 3 will be like that. I think they always do 4. Basically. Like there's some sort of overlap, which is cool. I think maybe at the end we can sort of guess what that is. So basically, again, for those of you that haven't seen it, so it's sort of a murder mystery in the sense that every season starts with a death. So every season, you're basically the first episode or the beginning of the episode.
Don't tell me that. I didn't know that in season 1 or 2.
But that's the format of the story.
Okay, got it.
The format of the show is that the very beginning of the first episode, somebody dies. You never know who it is. And there's some sort of linkage. You're like, what's going on? And then you basically spend the rest of the season starting from the beginning of the week of these people, like a set group of people arriving at the hotel over the course of their week or 10 days or whatever that they're at the hotel and trying to figure out who's going to die, who did it, why did it happen. It's not a thriller in the sense that like there's not necessarily clues, but the writing is done in a way that you're sort of like, I wonder how it will happen or who it will be. And it's a slow build in that like the writer, Mike White, who is from Survivor.
Yes, he was on Survivor.
Slay.
And he also has people from Survivor on the show.
Yeah.
In the
extras.
Other seasons.
Yeah. So he does a really good job of like building the tension. And so you like really do learn a lot about the characters and you start to be like, okay, how is this going to happen? And he puts little like clues about how it might come out in the end. So this season starts with Zion, who's the son of Belinda we were just talking about, is in like a meditation moment. And then there's gunshots. And then he's trying to like get away from the gunshots and sees a body float by him in the river. But you don't see who the body is. And then it cuts and it starts and we meet the characters.
And was it like a week? Would you think that it was a week?
Yeah, it was about a week.
It's about a week. And let's just say this ain't a place for cheap.
No. These are rich people.
This is rich. You got to take this pretty boat to get there.
Yeah.
They're like, the crew are like standing in the ocean, basically waving you in.
Welcome, rich white people.
Yes. And they had to make sure they had like 2 white people that work there.
Yeah.
Pam, you want to take your
Pam and
boats?
Fabian. Yeah.
Every 5 seconds.
Yeah, and so it's what's cool about it is, so I think for the most part they shoot them at 4 seasons because I think it was 4 seasons in Thailand because I actually went there when I was in Thailand. We didn't stay there. Okay. We didn't stay there.
Well, do you see what 4 Seasons just did last week?
No, what?
So because it was the finale, they changed everything, all the marketing, everything at the hotel and marked it all as White Lotus.
That's
so you're
cool.
staying at the White Lotus.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Though you'd be like, who's gonna die? Yeah, so they did it there. It was the 4 seasons there. I believe it's the 4 seasons in Italy, and for sure it was the 4 seasons in Hawaii. But this one was 4 seasons Koh Samui. So it was on the island.
Did it say 4 seasons on the show? Like
No. I just know that.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so basically you have people that arrive. So it's like one family, the Ratliffs. So there's like 3 kids, their parents. Then you have 3 like older white women, or not older, like not even middle aged, like early 50s.
Yeah, early 50s, late 40s.
But they look young. And it's mainly them as the guests plus Belinda, and then this couple, Rick and Chelsea, who's like, Rick is this like older guy with a much younger girlfriend, and they're sort of on the boat and they arrive. And so you're like, okay, it's going to be, something's going to happen to one of them, as we see. And then it gets into the show. And so basically every episode is a day at the hotel. It pretty much always starts with like the beginning, which is the morning, and then it ends basically in the evening. So for somebody that was watching it for the first time, like what did you think about the like format in terms of like, was it too slow for you ever, or did you like how it was?
Can I change your question?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I think more of like, I want to talk about like the characters that like bothered me or I like, because that's how I linked myself to watch it.
Sure. Yeah.
Because like the speed of it wasn't like an issue.
Okay.
It was more of like, how did I feel about specific characters?
Yeah. I just think that most people, like, that's their concern, is they're like, it's going to be too slow. But you're like, actually, the characters are what make it really interesting.
But I guess in a show that has what, 8-9 episodes? Like,
you can handle it.
You can handle it.
Yeah.
Because you know it's going to, like, it can't stay slow for...
Well, and it's not even
5 episodes.
I would say it's not even that slow. Well, that's what I mean. I don't think it's actually that slow.
There was a lot of like back and forth about this season. A lot of people, not a lot of people, but there was a lot of different things online that said either this was the worst season, or the best season.
Yeah. Because that's what I mean. Like, people said it was boring, but I'm like, maybe compared to what you thought you saw in the other seasons, but it's like interesting for you because you hadn't seen it before. You're like, no, it wasn't boring. So that's a good.
I was like trapped in after the gunshots.
Okay, like after they do a good job of that.
Yeah, because then I was like,
what's gonna happen?
Yeah. So I was immediately in it.
Great.
But if I think about like, okay, the different groupings, like the family.
Yeah. So which of those three? The girls, the family, and the couple?
No, the full family, parents and all.
Yeah.
So before I even go in, it was until like 5 episodes in, I was like, why does this father look so familiar to me? I was like, why is it bothering me so much? And I was like, okay, Timothy. It was Timothy.
Yeah,
right?
Timothy.
And I'm like, I'm not going to Google it. I'm just going to try to figure it out.
You're so funny. I Google everything immediately.
And then I'm like, I got it. I'm like, he's Captain Hulk, right?
He's also Lucius Malfoy.
I know that. My story. God. But as you know, I'm obsessed with Peter Pan.
Right.
So that was the first thing that came to me.
Okay.
Right? And then I was like, he's also like Draco Malfoy's father.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, but he doesn't look that great anymore.
No.
Right? So that's why.
And
also his accent like threw me off because he didn't have
he's British normally. Yeah.
So with him, I was like, okay, here's my thing about this character. I get that you are about to be arrested, about to lose all your money. Right?
Right. So
I told you it's already out. Get it?
Yeah, but the context is helpful if you haven't seen the show. Ugh. So they're obviously a very rich white family, and he does
like Schitt's Creek.
Yes, totally.
That's the best way.
They have a real estate. He's an investor. Blah blah blah. And then it turns out that some kind of investment that he's done is now being investigated by the FBI because
like money laundering.
Money laundering in a foreign country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he finds out that like they're about to lose all their money, but he doesn't want to tell their family, his family, because they are used to a lot of money.
Yes.
Right. And so he starts like spiraling, drinking, taking all of his like wife's drugs and like,
lorazepam. Yeah. Parker Posey is his wife.
I've never seen her in anything else
That's
before.
a lie. You've for sure seen her in lots of stuff.
Not that I recall.
Because she does her character so well. She's so different. You've seen her. She's been in a million things.
Okay, I'm going to Google later.
Her name is Victoria, and you probably would have seen memes of her going, Buddhism. Piper, no, Piper.
In Taiwan.
Tsunami. Yeah, she's taking lorazepams.
But I'm like, one, aren't you noticing that your husband / father has been basically high
the whole time
for days? 2, how much lorazepam did you bring if you are like
a full prescription? She said it. She said
a full prescription is 1 bottle.
Yeah, but there's only 6 days. The full bottle would be like probably
but he has the bottle.
Yeah, probably 40 pills or something.
Yeah, but he has the bottle.
Yeah.
She is a person that looks and sounds like she needs each one of them.
Yes.
Right? So I'm like, how are you guys not noticing that he is looping?
Right.
First of all, that was messy.
Yeah, it was messy. And the thing about it is, so this version of the White Lotus is a wellness spa, so they take away their phones. So that's how the family hasn't figured out that stuff's going wrong. And he's able to sort of hide it from them, but then he is so anxious, he has to take his wife.
But then you know what? crazy about that, as what you just said, it just came to my mind, is that without their phones, because everyone is so attached to their phones, you would notice it because, yes, you would see the news.
Yeah.
But you can't notice it by looking at someone because we're so detached from
Right. Yeah.
people and emotions and things that are happening right in front of us.
Yeah.
That like you don't notice the spiral that's going through because the only thing that you would have noticed is your phone when you look at social media or
and
email or whatever.
I would imagine like the dad's not super active in their lives. He's probably pretty absent because he works all the time.
Yeah, but like they also needed to get there. And he
but he only knew that. Yeah, but
what I mean is that he wasn't literally high and drunk every moment until he was.
I think it was like a bit of it. It was like cognitive dissonance. Like the mom was trying to just be like, you're being weird. But then she was like, it's just jet lag. Like it's so easy to make up excuses. The thing about that family that I find really interesting, I'll put the picture here. But so the three kids, so Saxon, Piper, and Lachlan, there's a scene, this one that you can see here.
Yes.
And they basically, so they represent like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And so there's a scene where Saxon has his sunglasses on, so he's see no evil. Piper has headphones on, she's hear no evil. And then Lachlan, the youngest son, is speak no evil because he's drinking something. And so I think that's part of like what you're saying about like, how did you not know that about your dad?
They're all in
they're basically
minds.
in their own world, so they don't see the evil that's created by their dad. Like
deep.
Yeah.
But you know what's also crazy that I didn't realize until today?
What?
That like who Saxon is in real life?
Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger's son. Yeah, it's funny because he has the most, as an actor, I was like, oh, he's so the worst. But then by the end, I was like, actually, you're kind of good, and this is really annoying. He had a good like character development. He plays douchebag so well. He plays
it very well. Continue to cast him as that.
Yeah,
he does.
But then he had like his character arc about it, and that's what I thought was quite interesting.
I feel like he had like okay, if the McDonald's arc has a full
it's like an
his was like this.
Right.
It had a tip at the end.
Well, so
just the last episode, I think it like lightly dipped.
Yeah, because I was thinking about this. Like, so basically, there's this scene which I'll show the picture again, but basically, it's of the three kids. It's the see no evil. But then the last scene of them on the boat is the opposite. He's reading a book. She has her headphones off and she's like listening to the stuff around her. And then the youngest son, who had a near-death experience, is sort of like looking. He's all of them at once because he has sunglasses on.
I think that it wasn't that much of a character development because, like, okay, at the end he's reading a book. Good for you.
So I saw it as like his eyes have been opened.
Yes, I do.
Okay,
but I also like if they had a reference. I do think there was things missing on the last episode. I know it was 90 minutes. I do think that there could have been one more episode.
Okay, because
for example, you're all like enlightened and opened up from what Chelsea is saying to you.
Right. And
then she's dead and you don't even.
So the thing is I don't know how much they know about it. Cause that's one of the things I feel like they didn't do a good job of describing. Like there was literally a mass shooting.
There's a mass shooting at your resort.
And you never hear about it from the other characters.
That's what bothered me.
Yeah, that was weird.
The three girls, like the best friends, they're basically like crying and like thankful that they're leaving.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys just left like a massive shooting.
Yeah, but I guess they don't know who died. Like, I guess that would be. I
also don't think that's possible. It's not that big. If you're thinking about a small kind of resort like that, mindfulness resort, especially if you're talking about how Chelsea just opened his eyes to these things. Mm-hmm. And then she did say bad things come in threes.
Yeah.
So the third was her death.
Yeah.
Right? But like that bothered me on top of, okay, fine. If you're not going to acknowledge that, then unless this is going to be in the next season, sure, if it is, then shut me up, right? But like, okay, finally, this whole season, we're like, okay, the father's either going to kill himself, kill the wife, kill all of you.
Yeah, because he keeps imagining it.
Because he keeps imagining it, almost tries it at the end, but then he's like, the milk is sour.
The milk is sour. After they drank a little bit, I'm like,
drink a little bit, but you didn't have a rumble in your tummy, you didn't have no poo-poo.
Maybe.
Right? But I'm like, so all of this, we watched you go nearly insane by like the fact that, you know, even your wife was like, oh, I would rather die than be poor.
No, Piper,
and then all of that, only to find out that we don't even see you know that you're gonna.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
It's so funny
They get their phones and then I don't even see you be sad.
Well, so if you just play the first episode of Schitt's Creek right after, then you do know what happened.
Well, yes.
Basically
which is so good. But that's what bothered me about the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, you've had me riled up this whole time,
right,
expecting to either see you kill yourself or you kill someone else. But now finally you've come to terms with it. And then the last scene is just you looking out over the horizon as they look at their phones.
Yeah. What? I mean, I don't know. It's a great question. I don't.
Symbolism.
White Lotus is expensive, so I just can't imagine that they'd be in the next season because they can't afford it.
I'm like,
but maybe.
I would have appreciated even like, I'm not Mike White. I'm not, the writer.
The creator. Yeah.
But even if the episode had maybe 45 more seconds and they saw the phone and they like the kids were like, what? And then like the mom was like,
there.
The fuck?
Yeah. She jumps off the boat.
Something just her yelling or something that just made me know.
Yeah.
And feel
but maybe
complete.
But I think that's what he wants.
I didn't like that though.
That's fair. That's fair.
Which why I will forgive it. Which I will forgive because of this. And I'll go back about Belinda's story.
Okay, so I have thoughts on this, but you haven't seen the first 2 seasons, so you don't know the context of her, but I get why you're excited.
Well, are you going to tell the context before I tell the story?
You can tell the context.
Because I don't know the context.
Okay, so the context of... Sorry, I thought you were just going to say, like, what happened then. So, again, it's all spoilers. So if you haven't seen White Lotus Season 3, like, this is on you. This is on you. So basically, in Season 1, Belinda is... she like works in the spa, so she like gives massages and does treatments and stuff. And she meets Jennifer Coolidge's character, and who's this like almost billionaire basically. And they form this little relationship where Jennifer Coolidge's character is constantly sort of going to Belinda for, like advice or like just emotional stuff, and then getting these treatments. And they form this friendship, and then over it, eventually Belinda shares with Jennifer Coolidge basically that she wants to leave the hotel and get her own business, start her own spa. And Jennifer Coolidge's character promises her that she will do that. She's like, you know what? You've been so great to me.
Is she the wife?
Yeah, she's the wife. She's the one that's like, I would love to help you. You know what? I'm going to do that. During that season, she meets that bald guy that you see. What's his name?
Gary.
So she meets Gary. Gary is this like guy who's also staying at the hotel. Remember, this is season 1. And they basically start to have a romantic relationship. And by the end, they sort of agree to like get married or start dating. And so then she goes to Belinda and is like, I actually can't commit to that spa idea. And so then Belinda's just like, well, fuck my life, I guess. And then that sort of ends it.
Interesting to know that now, because Belinda did the same
exactly the same thing to Porn Chai.
Oh no, so not Porn Chai.
So then season 2, I won't because you should watch it and it's so good. But basically, you already know this, that she has died. Yeah. Jennifer Coolidge has died.
I don't know this, but I figured now because you told me that
she's the wife.
She's the wife.
And so then the context of season 3 is that basically Gary, the bald man, Jennifer Coolidge's like ex-husband, widower, I guess. Belinda ends up seeing him there and is like, oh, what the fuck? Like, didn't she die?
Yeah.
And then is
weren't
worried.
you in the news that you disappeared?
Yeah. And like people don't know where he is, but now she's like, well, I recognize you and I know where you are. So then he basically.
Be crazy that he ran away to another country, but you still go to the same resort.
Stupid. You know what? You're asking for it. You're asking for it. And so he just basically tries to buy Belinda's silence. And like this sort of happens near the end of the season. Then her son comes and it goes from like $100,000 to $5 million.
Yeah. Because the son was like, you know what? I'm going to be a businessman. So we can't take your 100,000, but we'll take $5 million,
which was a great.
I think he thought like, I'm going to go really high. So like meet me in the middle.
And he was like, nope, here you go.
Yeah.
Because he's worth $500 million. So the thing I have to say about that is like, I think her son, it was bold of her son. I'm glad he got her that money, but I really think I could feel like you could see it in his eyes that he was thinking about it more for him than he was thinking about it for his mom. There was a stuff at the end that I was like, ooh, you greedy. Like,
I can see why you're thinking that, but I also think opposite because, black family,
fair.
that it's like a single mother. He wants to like, he's always been with his mother, like ride or die for
trying
his
to
mom,
do the best. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like, yes, it's going to benefit the both of them.
Right.
Right. So of course he's going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
But I think he's like, Mom, you deserve this.
When she does,
right?
like after all that happened.
And so
yeah.
why I was so happy, I said, listen, when I sometimes see things like this, number one, the black people are the one that die.
Right.
First.
Well, and in the beginning of the first episode, he was like, I'm staying here with my mom. And then he freaks out when he sees the floating body.
I think it's my mom.
Yeah.
And
so
then
you
runs into
think
the
that
water
she's
to go
the one
see
that
it.
died. Yeah.
Exactly. But then it ends with them basically being like chartered off on a yacht. Bye. With my $5 million in the bank.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? Mike White, you're forgiven.
Right.
I said, you're forgiven for not like making me feel like I like had
you didn't get the release.
I didn't get to eat that. It's like you brought me a burger, but then only let me have the pickle.
Right.
But I want the burger.
Well, Belinda got $5 million worth of pickles.
Yeah, she did.
She sure did.
But then now I feel bad for Porn Chai.
So Porn Chai in it is the guy who's basically her counterpart in the Thai White Lotus, and they have a little love moment.
Yeah, he took off his shirt and she was like, "Oh,
hello,
Porn Chai.
Yeah,
want to get a little chai porn?"
Yeah. So I wrote this note, which is like, Belinda does the same thing to Porn Chai that Tanya does to her, but on the inverse. Tanya leaves Belinda for love, and Belinda leaves Porn Chai for wealth, which is basically the and so in general. So I have this like overall thesis that like this whole season is about like karmic cycles.
Yeah.
So it's about basically trying to, and they kind of reference this. So I'm not like, this is not like me being like, oh, I'm so media literate. It's that like they sort of talk about karmic cycles through different pieces to it, and Buddhism that's a big part of it. And so it's like Belinda is actually living her own karmic cycle of she could have broken it by saying to Porn Chai, yeah, and I just got $5 million and we can start a business together. But instead she continued it by being like, so sorry, bye. Yeah. And it's that like and so it's also like this thing about like temptation. So we haven't talked about the character Guy Talk. Yeah. The Thai security guard, and then Mook, who's played by Lisa from Blackpink.
Yeah.
Shout out to her. And so he's this like really lovely like security guard. He's like a bit of a bumbling oaf, and he's just like in love with his
sweet, smiley.
Yeah, and like in love with his like childhood friend who also works at the hotel, and he ends up getting like he's the security guard to get in and out of the hotel, and he ends up getting attacked, and then there's a robbery, and then he deals with this like conscious of like trying to figure out like, okay, as a security guard, like he'd need to have a gun to protect them, and like,
but as a Buddhist, he doesn't want to hurt anyone.
Yeah, and like violence and stuff like that. And then this girl Mook is like, who he's in love with, is like really trying to encourage him to be effectively more violent, to be more ambitious.
Yes.
And I was like, you know, her character didn't really do a whole lot in the show, but I thought she did a good example of basically like she was like embodied like temptation for him.
Yeah.
She was like, in order for you to get what you want, which is me. You have to be violent.
And he's like, and you're okay with this job? Yeah. You don't want a better job? And which would essentially, to be a man, you must be this forceful entity. And to be like, so he was basically working towards being like the private security for the owners of the hotel, which he ends up doing by, in the end, he ends up killing Chelsea, or he kills Rick. Chelsea's already dead. Yeah. Which is really interesting because he ends up shooting someone who is unarmed and who is like, he ends up enacting like the worst kind of violence, which is like murder against somebody who wasn't even like hurting him. True. I mean, he did like, just murder the man's the man and his security guards, but like and you didn't need to. But to Guy Talk, I don't think really even knows that's happening. He just hears like
shoot him, kill him,
kill him. Yeah.
And so it's like the true like point of inflection for him, which is like he's like lost his values basically.
And then you see in the last scene with him when he's hugs the other girl, and then gets back into the car, and now he's in his black shades, black jacket,
driving her around
with a nice smile. He's like, well, if they're dead, I might as well get my one too.
It's true.
But when I thought about, I have two thoughts about the deaths.
Okay,
right?
So the deaths are, so the main characters are Chelsea and Rick die, and then you also have the owner of the
guards, but
hotel
ones
and the
that-
security guard. So there's like 6 people that die. The most in any season. No season ever has that many people. Usually it's just one.
Producer Angel.
Oh, maybe
told
that's
me
not
this
true.
one.
Yeah.
But not majority of the people who died were by water or in the water or by water.
Right.
Or almost died. And if you recall in one of the episodes, I think it was when Piper went to bring her
The
parents
temple?
to the temple
Yeah.
and met the Buddha, met the monks.
Yeah.
And the dad was like, "Oh, what is like death like?" Or I can't remember what the
what happens
question.
after you die?
What happens after you die? And what he said was, "It's like water. We all return back. We're like the water drops.
Ooh, that
right?
I didn't. Yeah.
And we return back to the water, which is our original form.
Yeah.
Right. And remember when it showed the little droplets?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when the water was going over Rick's face, I was like, he's returning to the water.
Yeah.
And then like the first episode when the body goes over the water, and that's how like Zion knew like someone got killed.
Yeah.
Right. Both security guards get shot and they fall into the water.
Yeah.
Right. And then when Lachlan was dying.
Yeah, in the process
right?
of dying.
He was right beside the pool
Water.
of
And
the water.
he's swimming in water and is like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And the owner's like husband, they're like right outside by the water.
Yeah, on a bridge.
Right? So
yeah.
they're all water
Interesting.
related.
That's a good catch. I did
Right?
not.
That was deep.
Come on, media literacy. Come on.
That one came from Angel.
Love. Thanks,
Love.
producer Angel. Yeah, I thought interestingly, like about Chelsea and Rick, like it's sort of like star-crossed lovers, like they were sort of doomed to die. And I thought it was kind of interesting because Chelsea mentions at one point, she's like, and this is like direct, like Mike White is like, I'm going to make it very fucking clear for you. She
I'll
says
be here with you forever.
that, but also she says, I'm like hope. And Rick is like pain. We're like yin and yang to each other. And so it was like this thing of like, they represent the two halves of that. But then her death was basically, to me, it's the interpretation of like, when you let pain win, hope dies.
Okay, girl, come through. Dip.
And it's like, because like that's why she dies first. Because when he gave into the pain of his dad, she died. Right?
That one was good. Yeah,
I felt good about that one.
I knew immediately when she went behind, because you hear like that bang bang, like all of like the, I don't know, like the bells or whatever, what the bullets were going off of.
Oh yeah.
I said Chelsea would be talking. She'd be like, "No, Rick, no,
what's
stop."
going on? Yeah.
I said, "She's dead. She's dead."
So
and
sad.
When she said bad things come in threes, I was like, "You're the one that's gonna die."
Yeah.
And then when she said, like, we're gonna be together forever, and when Rick was like, "That's the plan," they were together
forever was only for a couple more hours.
For a couple more hours.
Yeah.
And when she was like, "Please don't go and do this."
Yeah.
Right. But then it also made me think. I think the therapist name's Armida.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
When Rick runs over and was like, "I need to have an appointment with you right now."
Yeah.
She's like, "I have a client like in an hour."
It's kind of her fault.
So
it was kind of her fault.
So I didn't want to say that, but I was like, okay. But then I thought about the trauma of like, what if in any situation you could be the stop to someone's crazy?
For sure.
But you didn't have the time?
Well, and the part with all of that is he didn't want to go see her. He was super resistant. And then finally, the one time he asked for help. The one time
he really asked for help.
I think that there was something very clear about that. Like when people ask for help, really you have to believe them. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right? Because he was like, I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then fate literally brought them right there.
Well, and the fact that he ended up being his dad, I knew that. I knew that from a long time.
I felt that.
But I was like, ooh, that's like, there's really like, Mike White was really like, and another one, and another one.
But then, the group where we haven't spoken about, the girlfriends, right?
Oh, I have one more for the Rick and Chelsea thing before. The only other thing with that, and maybe we can talk about this more, but like Chelsea dying to me was really interesting because she, out of all the people there, was the only halfway decent person. Yeah. I really thought. And so the fact that she died was kind of the lesson that like being good isn't enough to save you.
I'm
Yeah,
outside
that's-
black.
Sure, but what she does in the end is not good. Like, that's not good people.
But to be honest, though, she can come back. Like, she didn't say no. She said, just
She's
not right now.
going to,
She
though.
didn't, but we don't know. Right?
No, but it was the...
She didn't say no.
Right.
And also, you asked me when, like, you're all glossed up and giving me abs and giving me the...
Of course, yeah.
Right? Like, we haven't even discussed
You're
past
giving me
being
the
in
chai
that bed.
porn,
You're
yeah.
giving me the chai porn. Like,
Yeah.
she wasn't... They didn't write nothing.
Yeah.
There was no
I
document
know.
signed.
But it's more the idea that, like, I don't think Belinda is a bad person. It's just like every
your thought
person made a
process.
bad choice.
Yes.
And the only person that really didn't, the only person who could have been, like, she was tempted by
cheat on him.
cheating. She didn't lie. She's the only person that never really, she wasn't perfect, but she's the only person that never did anything wrong, is the first person to die. And that's like, that is like a very, I feel like that's like the Mike White of like, being a good person is not
Well, she wasn't
enough.
the first person to die.
Well, I guess the dad was the first one.
Yeah, he was the first one. 2 bullets, pew, pew.
Pew, pew. But yeah, anyways, so then the other group that we didn't talk about is the 3 women.
Yeah.
So when you were like, oh, the guy is Captain Hook and whatever, I was thinking about, what's her name? Where is she?
Jacqueline?
Not Jacqueline, Kate, the one who lives in Texas. She was in...
Do you know who she's married to or dating for like the last 18 years?
No, but I know her as an actress. Leslie Bibb.
She's with Frank.
Oh, the guy, the
best monologue
that
ever.
Oh, I wish you could play that clip. It was probably get blocked. But she's from Popular, which was Ryan Murphy's first show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I remember watching that, being like, and she played the like popular sister and whatever. And I was like, come on, Leslie Bibb.
Well, in my notes, you know what I called her?
What?
Oh wait, no, yeah, you mean Kate, right?
Yes.
Short,
yeah,
like Bob.
Yeah. But her real, like the actress's name is
okay.
Fair.
Right. I called her a follow bati.
Follow bati. Please tell me what that means.
It's like, if I get real Jamaican here, like, she's just like, she was such a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And like
she would do whatever.
She'd do whatever. She's just like up the butt of whoever is like on her side, or she wants to be on everyone's side.
Yeah.
So she's just a follow bati.
Her turning out to be a Republican was such a like obvious. I was like, of course she's going to be a Republican.
They talked about that?
Yeah, there was a whole scene where she basically, they're like, who did you vote for? And she's like, what do you mean? And they're like, it was
like fall asleep.
You must have. Yeah, there's a whole section about her being.
Maybe it's because she bores me. So
okay.
I just, but then I love how you're like, it turns out she is. I would believe it.
Of course, but that's what I mean. Like, it wasn't a shock. Like, of course, she was the one that was always trying to be the nicest.
She's always trying to be the nicest.
And it's always that person who's like, turns out is a Republican, is a conservative, because you actually don't give a shit about anybody.
No.
You just want people. You just don't want anyone to be mad at you.
Fair. And like Lori, I love to hate her, but I love to love her.
Her monologue at the end, I thought was really powerful.
I think it was good to show that like you might not, as a person, be where your friends are or family are.
Yeah.
But you feel like you need to be in that place, but like you're not. And so I think that whole time, like she was trying to find what is her thing.
Yeah.
And like with like Jacqueline, like sleeping with that guy, she thought she would like be with him and all those things. And like she was just really grouchy. But I think it took like having sex with Alexi, and then him being like, so this money I need for my mother.
$10,000.
Yes.
You have Venmo?
Yes. Can you send it
right
now?
PayPal? Like
all of the different types.
It's like, oh, that was literally the check.
Yeah. So I think she then went trying too hard.
Yeah, not all this.
I'm judging my friends for them being who they are, but I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
But it just got like pumped out of me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what led her to have that really great monologue.
Totally. What did you think about what she said at the end, which is that like, I don't need religion or love to give I just need time. My time gives my life meaning. And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting thought, because I do think sometimes people try to find, and it's like, yeah, shared history is in some ways is meaning.
I just need time. Yeah, I like that.
It made me think about like friends that we've had for a long time.
That's
and
true.
Like how, things do change, but you're like, in a way, the way she was saying it, like you're going through life together. I was like, oh yeah, that is like,
that was pretty. I did love the way that she like booked it. She booked it. She said she's from the hood.
She said, my friends are up next.
She's like, the rest of them might be rich, but my friends paid for me to get here. I actually couldn't afford to come here. So I'm from the hood.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I loved that. She went out there quick.
It was, I mean, so I really liked the season in general. What more notes do you have?
I just had that Jacqueline. I want to know how famous she was.
I was
curious how famous she was.
Right, in the context of that universe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I put Piper is basically the
oh my God,
the actual definition. At least her mother is like, she just knows that she's
like rich, entitled, privileged, nasty.
She doesn't want to hide it or anything.
Yeah, she's not trying.
She's not trying
pretending
to hide it. Like, she is like the ultimate Karen.
Yeah,
but is like, what? That's just who I am.
Yeah, that's
right?
just
But Piper is like the definition of like white privilege.
Yes.
Definition.
Yes.
Right? And like, I just want to heal the world and I want to breathe deeply with the monks here.
The cultural appropriation of wanting to be a Buddhist monk. And then as soon as it's like,
and then
the reality of that
it was one night, not even 24 hours, like one night.
And the way she's like, I'm going to have to eat this food for a year. The mattress has a stain on it. It's like, girl, you've never... wow, the privilege of your life to have never had any of those things.
So her arc was like, I was like, about her, because I was like, depending on what kind of like hostel she stayed at before, maybe she really like is into this stuff, right? But then quickly, and I thought it was going to be because her brother said he wanted to stay there.
I thought so too, yeah.
Which we've actually have not passed that moment yet.
No.
Right? But I thought that's why she was like, I don't want to stay because I don't want to stay with my brother.
Right. I want it to be my thing.
Yeah, I thought she was going to say that, but immediately it was like, because they're poor here. I like being rich.
But I do think that there's an element of the reason she started to think that way is because it like clued into her mind when her brother wanted to go. She's like, well, now it's not my thing anymore.
Yeah.
Like, she was just trying to create her own thing. She
said, like, find your own thing.
Find your own thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
save the world
as a Buddhist monk.
Yeah.
And his is jerking his brother off. He said
I'm a people pleaser. And you
seemed like he didn't even say people pleaser. He just said I'm a pleaser. I'm a pleaser. I'm in a family of narcissists and I'm a pleaser. You are a who? You are a
I think originated from.
You are a hand job queen, is what you are.
Prior to that even happening, when he was like watching his like brother's ass and stuff, I think that he was like hasn't come out yet, and he's like, oh, maybe like guys I do like, but I haven't seen them in this kind of way, and now here's just a body. Sure, it is my brother,
right?
But I'm now seeing a body of a bum that I hadn't seen in my adult life, and I was like, maybe I'm bum bums.
Yeah, but I mean, the older Saxon did say like, you need to stop worshiping me.
Yeah,
and he meant it like worship.
But he said that after he was.
Yeah, but I think that was part of the whole butt thing. Is that it's like he sees his brother as like some ideal man, and so he's like, I'm into it.
But you know what?
I never looked at my family like that.
Saxon was trying to act up. In a weird way.
Oh, he was into it.
I think he was into it.
Yeah, I think that's what made him so upset. I think that's why
he was so upset. Exactly. Yeah. That he was like, it's my brother, but it's my brother. Like,
yeah. Because they made out and then he jerked him off. Also, I just have to say, so the scene is Lachlan is fucking this girl, Chloe, and then he's also jerking his brother off at the same time. The multitasking ability to do that... Because it's not the same person, right? Like you're having like doing those two things is very possible. I would know, but like doing it on separate people, that's crazy.
And on a bow.
But Mike White is gay, and like that's like he was.
Like, I've been waiting for so long to tell this story.
Yeah, HBO finally said I could do incest.
It's the only place I can do it.
Yeah, it's true,
right? But like. That whole thing had me like, what is going on? But I actually think that scene made this show, like this season, even more popular.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Because everyone was talking about it.
Crazy. everyone was talking about it. The monologue about like I just want to be an Asian girl.
Yeah,
right?
and I want to watch him fuck me.
Yeah, I just want
to watch the Asian girl watch me getting fucked.
And so
because I'm an Asian girl inside.
I was like, those
we
two
all
scenes.
know some straight guy who thinks he's an Asian girl inside.
Oh.
It's like the older straight men that are really into K-pop. I'm like, you think you're a little Asian girl inside?
Well, as we've both been to Thailand, there are several's not even the right word. I would say thousands,
plethora
of older
men,
bald men.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yes.
And I didn't know the relevance when I went until like halfway through the trip.
With like the lady boys and stuff?
Just in general, that they just come to like get like young lady boys, all sorts of things, right? But now that like obviously in the show, Gary, who is, right? And the other old ones that are there too on the boat, right?
Well, and that's why you have to watch season 2 because it'll actually make a lot more sense about Gary once you see it because of what he wants Chloe to do. About like he wants to watch his girlfriend. When you see season 2, you'll be like, oh.
On a sidebar about that actual actor, if you look at some of the press pictures of the actual, like not the characters, of the people, he's always like very oddly touching Lisa.
Gross.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Lisa, I'm on your side, girl. I saw that. I'm
just going back quickly, but like one of the things I love, and this connects us to our episode that we did with Eddie, which is when Nene Leakes in Glee is like, if it's not all the hormones in Thailand can get you pregnant, Sue Sylvester. And I love how that creates parallels to what we're talking about right now. I just love.
Funny. Good. Yeah, I enjoyed the season.
I did too. And I feel like it has inspired me to want to do a segment with you, which is Avion, because we haven't done that in so long.
We haven't.
And so to wrap up the episode, I thought we would talk about like a fun, crazy story that we have from traveling.
Done.
And I happen to have one from Thailand.
Oh.
So let's get our special microphones. Yay!
Slay.
Oh my God, we haven't done this segment in forever.
We haven't. Okay, I'm so excited.
So as a reminder, this segment, Adi Avion, which is, Tasha, tell us all about it, because you're the creator.
As we know, Adi Avion is my telenovela that I film when I travel. It's on my Instagram account.
Yeah.
It's either on when you're in the airport or in the plane, and I basically just make fun of myself and others.
And we've expanded that into basically any travel story that is like You're Done.
Yes.
So my You're Done Adi Avion story was, so when I was in Thailand, I went with my friend Christina, shout out Christina, and we were bopping around all over Thailand. We went to Koh Samui, Koh Tao, we went to Bangkok. And so we're getting to Bangkok and we have an Airbnb. It's in this like cool apartment that's sort of like near the gay district, Silom 6, I think. I can't remember, Silom something or other. So we get to the hotel, it's like pretty late, or the Airbnb, it's pretty late at night. And we get in and it's like a 1-bedroom. And normally, if you've ever been to an Airbnb or a hotel, the bed is made, right?
Yeah.
We get in and the bed, it's like all the sheets are folded, but not on the bed. And we're like, okay, that's weird. But like maybe it's just they do it differently here. It's like they're proof that they're clean because they're folded.
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought
that's what we thought.
Oh.
We start to unfold the sheets and we're like, oh, that's stained. Someone had a messy experience
prior to checking out,
and we're trying to hide the evidence from the sheets. We were poopy sheets.
Like that kind of accident.
And then as they're like trying to we turn the lights on, and then it appears that the accident was not just in the bedroom on the bed, it was also the curtains and the wall. And we're like, and it's late and it's Thailand, so everything's like it's super hot outside, and so it's super AC inside. So we have no sheets. We like message our Airbnb person, we're like, the place has not been cleaned, or if it has been cleaned, it is somebody did something here between the time it was clean and it wasn't. And the guy's like, I won't be able to get anyone until the morning. So then Christina and I had to sleep in our clothes on just the mattress, no mattress protector, with the AC blasting. We were like little icicles, being like, what the hell? It was the most You're Done ever. It was so gross. And we're also like, now you're like, I can't feel really comfortable here because it's like
there's poo walls.
Poo walls, poo curtains, poo sheets.
Oh.
But it's also, but we happened to be staying next to the gay dresser, so what did we expect? What did we expect? So anyways, that was my Adiavion story.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. Mine is when I went to Cuba for the first time.
Okay.
My second year of university, I went during reading week.
Okay.
With my girl Shira. Shout out Shira.
Hey, Shira.
I promise you, I think I had water on the plane ride there.
That was the last.
That was the last.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers to that. I recall very little, but the things
of the whole week.
Well, yeah, parts and parts, right? But like, it was a great time.
Okay.
But I do remember there was one night that, okay, so when you go to the resorts, and this is similar like other resorts, you get the wristband, so you can only go to your resort.
Okay.
Right? But there's a bunch of obviously different schools, and so we were like hanging out with these other guys like at like a club or something.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, you should hang out like at our resort, whatever. And I'm like, what, 19? So I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Right? But we get to the front door and they tell us, and it's nighttime, okay?
Yeah.
It's nighttime. And they tell us, and I was probably in it.
Yeah.
And they tell us that like, oh, we're not allowed.
Right. You don't have the right wristband. Get out of here.
Exactly. And we're like, okay. And so like we message the guys and they're like, oh, it's so unfortunate. Like, we're in the back, like where the pool is. We wanted to hang out with you guys. Like we'll come and wave to you or whatever. So we go to the back and literally starts climbing over the fence.
You're done.
Climbing over the fence. Okay. And then security
must see you.
Security then comes, and I thought I was being respectful by like adding, at the time I knew some Spanish, but not as much as I know now.
Right.
So I was like trying to like say some things to not like get us caught from being like climbing over, like breaking in.
Yeah.
And because I spoke a little bit of Spanish to them, they thought that I was a prostitute.
With your wristband, they were like, girl,
right? Thought I was
more
a
clients here.
And I was like, no, we're singing at the other part. And like, it was so bad.
That's
and
hilarious.
Like, I know one of the
did they
officers
escort you
that
out
spoke.
or something?
Yeah, they did. They did. They're like, they were gonna arrest us, and like we started crying, like begging and stuff like that. So thankfully, we were arrested because they're like, you can't do this. But then also, like, we thought you were a prostitute, trying to break in, blah, blah, blah. And so, like...
How often do they have prostitutes trying to break into this resort?
There's unfortunately a lot of prostitution there.
But breaking into a resort?
Climbing in. Anyone
that's
can try
extra.
to climb in.
That's extra. You have to, that's a service that you pay.
The next day, somehow they broke into ours during the day. And I just remember... that like Shira was like talking to one of them or whatever, but I was just like, I'm over it after what happened yesterday. So then I just went into the ocean by myself with like a big like cup with like the straw, like the Yeti ones by myself. Not even like I was like slurping this down, lit as hell. And then I made friends with a pelican. And I named him Mr. Pelly.
You know what? That would never happen at the White Lotus. That would never.
I named him Mr. Pelly. And then unfortunately, I don't know if it was that day or the next day, I thought I had a scratch on my eye, so I went to scratch my eye, but I didn't close my eyelid. And so I went home with an eye patch.
Tasha, what
So,
the hell?
It was a great trip, but like I actually had to go to like the eye doctor.
You scratched
back
your
in
eye
Montreal.
with...
Yeah, so I
you were unwell. You were so unwell.
I bedazzled it when I got home because I was like, well, if I must... Yeah.
You know what?
Oh, Cuba.
No one's gonna. Trip. You know what? That's wild. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And that concludes this episode segment of Adiavion. Stay tuned for the next one. And something we should share is this is basically our second last episode of the season. Don't worry. We have an incredibly special guest for the next one. You're all gonna die. This is someone you've probably waited the entire 2 seasons to see, even more than my boyfriend. And it's not producer Angel, because I bet you everyone wants to see him. this person will be the most iconic guest. So stay tuned for our finale, which is next week. And then we'll only be taking like maybe a month off. And then we'll see you in the summer.
Yes.
So stay tuned for next week. Thanks for coming. Subscribe, like, do all the things. Bye.
Bye.